What happens when greatness fails repeatedly? Rory McIlroy has won everything, except the one thing that now defines him. 4 majors, 30 career wins, over 100 weeks ranked at world number 1. But every April, Augusta National becomes his personal nightmare. And every year, the weight of that missing green jacket grows heavier. Because this isn't just about winning a tournament anymore. It's about rewriting a legacy before time runs out.
Sports Think.
Because he's not a rising star any longer. He's 34. In golf, that's not old, but it's not young either. And history doesn't wait. 11 years ago, he blew a 4-shot lead in the final round at the Masters. Since then, he's played every single one and failed to win them all. Sometimes quietly, sometimes spectacularly, but always fatally. And now, with a new generation rising and LIV Golf tearing the sport's future into two, Rory's relevance feels like he's caught between 2 eras. He's still the face of the PGA Tour's resistance, still the media darling, still the fan favourite, but the image is only skin deep. Because deep down, everyone knows he needs this. The Masters isn't just the last piece of his career Grand Slam, it's the only thing people will remember if he never wins it. So the question is no longer whether Rory McIlroy can win the Masters, it's what happens if he doesn't. And to understand how we got here, we have to go back to the moment where the curse began. It wasn't just a collapse, it was a televised implosion, watched by millions, burned into memory. April the 10th, 2011, Rory McIlroy stood on the 10th tee at Augusta with a 4-shot lead. The sun was soft, the air calm, his swing smooth, confident, fluid, as it had been all week. But then something shifted. A wayward drive, a nervy approach, a 3-putt, a triple bogey, and just like that, it all unravelled. But he didn't just lose the lead, he spiralled into one of the worst final round meltdowns in Masters history, carding an 80. But the real damage wasn't the scorecard, it was psychological. That day didn't just scar a tournament, it planted a seed that would grow into something far more dangerous: doubt. And doubt in golf is poison. Yet, in the months that followed, Rory did the unthinkable. He bounced back. Just 2 months later, he won the US Open by 8 shots. A year after that, he added the PGA Championship, then the Open, then another PGA. By 2014, he wasn't just a champion, he was the champion. Golf's golden child, the Nike icon, the heir to Tiger's throne. But Augusta, it never forgave. Despite new clubs, new coaches, even a new physique, Rory could never exorcise the ghosts of 2011. He tried silence, he tried swagger, he tried spirituality. But every return to the Masters felt like revisiting a scene of a crime he couldn't forget. And the course, it punished him for it. Because Augusta doesn't reward talent, it exposes pressure. It doesn't crown the best player, it breaks the one who needs it the most. And slowly, something deeper began to shift. Not just in Rory, but in how the world saw him. The sponsors still lined up, the interviews stayed friendly, but the narrative had turned. From dominant to despair, from prodigy to prisoner. And all the while, the one major that was supposed to complete his legacy began to define it instead. By the time the world noticed Rory was stuck, it was already too late. The years kept rolling by, so did the Masters. 2015, 2016, 2017, tied 20, tied 7th, tied 5th. He was always close, but never close enough. And in a sport that is obsessed with numbers, nothing stands out like a 0. 0 green jackets, 0 Grand Slam competitions, 0 control over the one thing that matters the most. And quietly, without warning, something had shifted, not in Rory's game, but in the power around him. Because you see, in modern sport, legacy isn't built on wins alone. It's shaped by narrative, by media cycles, by the brands that are willing to back you. And with every passing year at Augusta, Rory's once airtight story began to leak. Nike stopped making clubs, his on-course form dipped, he cycled through caddies, swing coaches, sports psychologists. Even his walk began to change. Less bounce, more burden, and meanwhile, golf was changing faster than ever. In 2022, LIV Golf arrived like a wrecking ball, Saudi-backed, star-studded, and unapologetically disruptive. Suddenly, Rory found himself not just chasing a green jacket, but defending an entire sport. Overnight, he became the PGA's moral compass, its mouthpiece, its defiant loyalist. But even that mantle came with risk. Every time Rory spoke out, the spectators grew louder. Every time he failed at Augusta, the whispers got sharper. Because here's the brutal truth. You can be golf's voice, its face, its conscience. But if you don't win the Masters, none of it matters. Not to the fans, not to the historians, not to the brands deciding who gets remembered and who gets rewritten. The world doesn't reward consistency, it rewards closure. And Rory's story has remained open for over a decade, like a blockbuster with no final act. So now, his image isn't just about excellence, it's about absence. The jacket never came, the curse that never lifted, the one thing he was always supposed to win and still hasn't. And in the background, the game keeps evolving, without waiting for him. There was a time a few years ago when Rory McIlroy used to be the future of golf. Now, the future has other names. Adberg, Hovland, Marikara. Calm, ruthless, clinical. These aren't just rising stars, they're algorithm proof. These players are built in the image of modern sport. Less emotion, more efficiency. No psychological stars, no moral crusades, just business. The golf industry has always been conservative on the surface. Blazers, handshakes, green jackets. But behind the scenes, it's chaos. Streaming deals, private equity injections, geopolitical cash, and a ruthless battle for narrative control. Augusta, in particular, is the eye of the storm, a place where legacy is minted and rewritten in real time. In the past, Rory has understood this. He was media gold. The Nike deal, the EA Sports cover, the next Tiger moniker, minted by journalists, but not by executives who saw dollar signs in his swing. But that version of Rory, bright-eyed, free-flowing, lightning-fast, has been buried under years of careful image management. Because here's what changed. In modern golf, control isn't earned on the course, it's bought off it. LIV Golf didn't just challenge the PGA structure, it rewrote the financial hierarchy of the sport. Suddenly, loyalty became political, relevance became conditional, and Rory, unintentionally, became the symbol of resistance in a sport that no longer rewards resistance. He took the moral high ground and the pressures that came with it. Because every word he spoke, LIV became a weapon used against him. Every missed putt at Augusta, a reminder that principles don't win trophies. In the court of public legacy, sentimentality loses its spectacle, morality loses to medals. But even as the game transformed, Rory didn't walk away, he doubled down. And that's the paradox, because for all his flaws, for all his missed chances, Rory McIlroy still matters. It feels like he's the last of a dying breed, an emotional athlete in a surgically optimized sport. He's vulnerable, volatile, he's human. And that's why the Masters isn't just a tournament, it's a reckoning. Not just for Rory, but for the version of golf he represents. If Rory fails again at Augusta, and you'll more than likely know by the time you're watching this, it won't just be a missed opportunity. It will be the moment his legacy crystallizes, not as incomplete, but as defined by what was never finished. Because in sport, there's a rare kind of greatness, the kind that doesn't end in triumph, but in tragedy. The story that keeps on rising, but never lands, and Rory is teetering on the edge. Of course, none of this will matter if you're watching this and he's won that green jacket on Sunday. But one more collapse, one more April heartbreak, and the Masters becomes not the final chapter, but the title of the entire book. And maybe that's the point. Maybe Rory's curse isn't Augusta. Maybe it's the world's refusal to let him be human, to let him fail without consequence, to swing the club without the weight of history on his shoulders. But legacy isn't fair. It never was. And it doesn't remember the details, just the silhouette, the shape of a career, the outline of a moment. And if that silhouette never includes a green jacket, then Rory McIlroy's greatness, for all its brilliance, will always carry a shadow, a ghost that lives at Augusta National.